Hello one and all, I am PALOFGAMES and you are watching a Yugioh Pro game. This time I'm running Hunders again versus wind-ups. Now this is a really interesting match and we'll just jump right in here. What I really like the most is that it shows off both decks really well. So he throws a Flaming Dancing straight away. Now this was quite interesting to see. From here he goes into a wind-up factory. And sort of he's going to throw off a load of combos off of it. He goes for Rabbit, uses Rabbit's effect. Removing it. He'll then use Factory's effect off of it to add Magician to hand. This is sort of the ideal hand they're looking for. So at this point he's got a nice advantage going into it. But he's going to keep that hand ready for next turn. So he can try and launch a nice bit of damage on me. So based on my initial hand, it's not great, but the heavy really helps here. So I decided I'd go straight for the heavy. I thought based on the sort of deck he's using, it's unlikely that he'd be able to have a Starlight Road. So I summon my Hunder. Now unfortunately this is where Hunders aren't so great. When they come across a situation where they haven't got the support of other Hunders. This hand's okay, but I can't really do anything with it. Especially since he hasn't summoned, so I can't go for my mind control. But my build's great because it allows stalling, more conservative plays, and have the opportunity to go, I've got a great hand, I can go straight right in for the big push. So I've gone for the swords play, hoping that it will either bring out loads of wind-up stuff, because I've got an interesting build in that I use a lightning. Two main reasons for this. One, I run 3 recycling batteries, so sometimes you'll get one Hunder and one in hand, and you really want to just be able to bring them back and XC together. And that's obviously harder with one in hand and one in grave, so that's a great thing. And plus, it's a no-cost dark hole basically if you do that, except it's obviously just face-ups. And it's also another surprise hit because a lot of players will go, they've used their dark hole, I can go in for a big push for nearly game and it won't be too bad on me. And it's really not the case. I can really catch a lot of players off guard with that. So at this point he's going to do the crazy XC plays. He goes into our Paleoperative, uses Paleoperative's effect on Rat. So that he can use Rat's effect. Now I have managed to slow his deck down a lot by getting rid of his factory, which is good. But once again he's going to be able to XC again into MX Saber Invoker. Invoker's effect then allows him to detach to special. He goes for a wind-up soldier. So at this point he's making a big push into the game. And I think with my swords being out, it's a risky play, but he's got a pot, so he's going to be able to recycle a lot of it if anything goes wrong. So he's able to do a load more specialing here. He goes for another shark. And off of that he's able to go for Shark's effect to level himself up, I believe. So he's got 2 5s now. He can then X into Tyrus, which is a safe card there. He's able to know that he's going, well, if he has got a dark hole, at least Tyrus is saved. That was his main plan behind that. He has now left Magician out, so Mind Control's an option. Now he's forced to send a material to grave due to Tyrus's effect. Now, some may call this a misplay on my part, but I decide that not using mind control at this stage is better off, because I'm able to do a lot more damage by keeping mind control. But to be honest, I should have, and it could be perceived as a misplay, so I go straight for the night beam, hitting his face down. And I decide I have to go for the lightning play. It's more beneficial. And I send mind control. Because I didn't really want to send my BLS, so I was forced to either pick for mind control and try and get a big play off that, or keep BLS. And I think BLS would be more beneficial in the long run if I draw into a dark. So what I didn't realise, well obviously I wouldn't know, but what I didn't think about was the opportunity of having a pot in hand. He gets quite lucky having that in hand, and he draws into a rat, so he's got another play available here. And he could easily be able to make another big push, but luckily I've totally stopped him with the swords for now, because windups can't really deal with that card. Very efficiently, that is. Without costing them quite a few plays. So he goes for his 2x's, 3 wind-ups, with the base plan that he's hoping to refresh all his stuff, and he manages to pull off it quite well, because he can go for rat, and then rat can search for a magician. And bring that to field. He then can use shock. And use shock's effect. Magician's effect comes first, of course. Brings another rat. And then he connects it. He doesn't use shock's effect at all. And then he can go for his polyoperative play on a rat, getting him another special. Basically, he's more or less just reset it back again, and he's got everything back ready. It's almost like my lightning never happened. Because he can then go for his invoker. And at this point, he's really got the advantage in terms of field. I'm going to need to pull off a really sacky draw to be able to do anything. And then at this point, he has got the option to go into another XC, which he does. And he goes for Cowboy just so he can do a bit of burn damage. I suppose with him being stalled out here, he thinks that the best idea here is to try and poke for a bit of damage. So that when the time comes, it's more possible to go for the OTK. And now Tyrus loses another material. I've got one more turn left on swords before that goes. So I've got to make this turn work well. I've got to be able to come out with some sacky draw. And as it happens, I draw into a TT, which could really change the game. Depending on if he does go for another summon. So I'm more or less just forced to set an end. I could have gone to defense. It doesn't matter too much, I've got swords. So he gets quite sacky and draws into an MST. He decides that, based on the fact that sword is gone at the end of the turn, he's going to pop my back row. And I mean, I totally agree with that play. I think that it's better use on the face down, because one turn isn't going to be majorly bad in terms of waiting. In his opinion, I'd imagine, because he's at a stage now where he's got the field pretty much tied up here, and I'm basically looking for a good sack card here, which could really turn the game around. And I draw into Dark Hole. I mean, I couldn't draw better than that. I mean, it's going to mean that I can change the game completely round again. Because I've already stopped him once, and I've been able to stop him again. He's lost everything this time. Because Tyrus hasn't got material. So now he's going to have to draw into something good to be able to try and re-establish a field. And he draws into a factory. Now, that could be good, but he's obviously going to be waiting on a wind-up, and a lot of them are now in the graveyard, which aren't great. So he goes for the set play. I'd say that's bad, setting it, knowing I play Night Beams. It could have really cost him doing that. And I draw into a Yugioh Hunders. Now this is going to really help me establish a field again. Because, it's a little 900 beta, I can use its effect and return a Hunders. So I'm going to go back and get my Hunders. And it's banished to the end of the turn, and then it goes to my hand. So I've already set up for a potential XC next turn. Now he's going to have to top deck a monster to be able to counter me. I mean, this is one of the reasons I've really enjoyed this game out of most I've played on Yugioh Pro, because it was so tit for tat. I mean, it was so one way to the next, and you never quite knew who had the advantage for a while. At this point, it's hard to say. I mean, I would say I have slightly the advantage, based on the fact that unless he gets a monster, wind-up factory is useless, and whatever his face down is. So it draws into a judgment. This is going to be great, because I'm obviously going to go straight for that XC. I'm not too worried about it. So I might be able to do more based on what I draw. It's all down to that, really. And I draw into a Bottomless, which is a great card if you draw into something like Shark or a Soldier. It means that I'm really going to be able to continue having field presence. Now, his Solemn's now, in my opinion, he should have waited for the Synchro, because he would have took out my Yugioh Hunders as well and had a lot better stance on the game. I suppose he was worried that my other monster was a Hunders. But at this point now I've been able to poke for another 900. And it puts a bit more pressure on him, because now he's sort of coming to the dregs of his life points, and he has to get into a monster soon. As it goes, he draws into a Dimension Ice, which is no good to him unless he's able to pull out a monster. He's really under pressure here, to be honest, because he has not waited for the XC. I mean, I've drawn into a pot. It's useless at the minute, as I currently only have my Hunders. Yeah, just my Hunders, so I can't do much there. have a potential second if Sis Hunder went, but Pot's more or less going to be a useless card in this game. So, Ole here, he draws into a 5 formation Tenki, which could really help change this game around. So he uses Tenki's effect, gets Rabbit to hand. Now I slightly misplay here, because what I didn't realise is, when I activated Bottomless, he can chain Rabbit's effect. Now I wasn't aware of this, but at least at the very least, it stops him from using Factory. So it was probably a good move there, even though you could argue it was a misplay. I'd like to know your opinions on that, whether you think that was a good move to make there or not. So I draw into another Bottomless. Now, I've basically set myself up really well here, because he's down to 150 now. He really has to make a play, and he's going to find it hard to, because he will get back his Rabbit, and that'll help shift the game back around to him. But if he wants to utilise Factory, he's going to have to remove a Rabbit. So that's going to be something he's going to need to think about. Can he risk that? So he brings out Rabbit. He uses Factory. He uses Rabbit's effect. Now, in my opinion, I don't know whether this was the good move to make or not, or whether it was kind of risky. But I suppose it's the best thing he can do. He then goes for Rat. The problem here is he hasn't found a way to take out Sis Hunder, and that's going to cost him. I mean, his obvious plan here is to use his dimension slices and try and help do stuff about that. Well, more or less, remove my Sis Hunder and go for a direct. So he plays Levio. Now I've Bottomless here. Now I suppose he won't expect him a second Bottomless. Do you see how this deck's so conservative in parts? Whereas if you don't draw the Hunder hands, it's fine. You've got conservative plays. He's been unable to do most stuff just because I've stopped him, and I've drawn into him a Hunder. This basically is game now. Unless he can stop it, and I'm doubting he will, because we know it's a dimension slice. Whatever that is, he's not used it for a while. It turns out to be a TT. I've got to wonder whether that would have been a better play than his Solemn. I don't know why he didn't think of doing that. Maybe that was a misplay on his part. So he draws in a heavy. This is a horrid card to draw into, but he does get Rabbit back. Now, he has a chance to hit me now, but instead he just removes. He doesn't go for the attack. My opinion, I could see why I wouldn't attack, because I've obviously got one idle card I haven't used all game. It could be a Gauze. He can't risk the Gauze play, obviously, but I'd have played that. I suppose it's hard to play it in attack mode when you've got 150 life points. So defense is probably his best move. I draw into a Starlight Road. Obviously it's a dead card. I've sort of ended up with dead cards in my hand quite a bit here. I'd say BLS 9 times out of 10, it's not dead. If you open a tour guide, or even not, you can go into a Battleship of Corn or a Roach when this game isn't playing up, of course. So he has a Thunder King now. That's quite an interesting card to see him have. Now, I'm interested to see what he goes for from here. He's obviously got a chance here to hit an OTK. Well, not an OTK, but get close to an OTK. He goes for 2 removals. I'm not even sure why he did that, to be honest. That was probably a misplay on his part. He probably thought he had wind-up materials, wind-ups in deck, or something along them lines. It's going to make my play harder because he can stop a special straight off the bat. Luckily, I draw into a Thunder Seahorse. This card is going to help immensely in terms of me going plus, but I can't afford to discard it based on the fact that he's going to be bringing back 2 rabbits and could really damage me. I mean, he'd be able to inflict 3,900, and that's without his draw. Now, he draws into a dead card himself with Solemn Warning, because he hasn't got 2,000 life points anymore. Now, he exes into Levier. Yeah, so Leviathan even. I don't know if this was his best play, but I don't know what his extra deck was, so I couldn't judge on that. But I would have definitely gone for 2 rabbit attacks, then going to Leviathan, to be honest. You'd have got more damage out of it. Stuff like that you got to think about, you know, especially when you've got one of these close call games. That 500 extra he would have done would put him under the breach of, well, I only need to hit with Thunder King. Now, I draw into a compulsory. Now, this is very interesting what I do. I decide, right, I'm going to set all my face downs in an attempt to get him to either play cautiously, but I've got compulsory. That I know I can take out his Leviathan with. All I've got to worry about then is Thunder King, which can do 1,900. So I can survive an attack from him. So he goes for heavy here. And I'm able to go for Starlight. My plans worked out. I've managed to get Starlight from nowhere. Stardust from nowhere. Now, at this point, he's thinking, oh, it's fine. I've got my Leviathan. I can detach the last material and get game. Now, he goes for his effect. Now that I know he's gone for the effect, I'll use compulsory to return it to the deck. Now he's left with his final move he can make, which is his Dark Hole in hand. Now, I've decided, based on the fact that even though I can negate, it's better for me not to, because I won't take 1,900, and even if I did bring it back, he'd get rid of it with Thunder King. So it's better just to keep the 1,900. I'm better off for it. And I draw into a D prison. So once again, all my monsters got to be at the bottom of the deck or something. But it's a very interesting duel, to say the least. It's probably one of my most enjoyable, without a doubt. A really lengthy one, though. So he draws into a shark. He's found something to help him win the game with. So he goes for a wind-up shark. He goes for the effect. If nothing else, just to get Factory's effect. So he can grab another shark. Next turn he can make a 5-star XC or whatever he feels necessary. At this point I deprison. Because obviously I can't risk any damage, and him not having a monster means that I could potentially win if I draw into a monster. and I managed to draw into recycling batteries, which is like the card of the deck without shadow of a doubt. It's so plus, especially when you're using conjunction with a seahorse play, or even just to XC everything, then go recycling batteries. Especially if you keep the monster what still has the summon, like Palm or whichever one what can. It means that you can easily go for more summons and get crazy damage. And you can't stop it, so that's game. I hope you've enjoyed this rather lengthy duel. If you've liked it, leave a like, it really helps me out. If you want to follow this series or any other I'm doing, subbing is a great idea. And leave in the comments below your thoughts on the game, anything you'd have done differently even. And thanks for watching and goodbye.